Hi guys, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your break as much as we did. We had a little bit of a stretch. Okay, so now we've got a question from Lorato, which I have kindly asked Peter to go over, and he has said yes. So we will be going over that question now, Lorato. But I know Lucia and a whole bunch of mindsetters are asking for tax questions. But what we're going to do is we're going to have to go over them in next week's show. But what I want you to send me through all of those tax questions so we can have them up for next week and we can do them as challenge questions and really start to go through it. So if you can post those on our page, that would be fantastic, and we'll be going through that next week. I think, Peter, let's start with Lorato's question, hey?
Absolutely. If I can just talk about that tax. Guys, I'd love to answer those questions on tax. I really would. But they actually can get quite complicated, and we've got to get tables and things like that. And I can't just make up those figures as we're going along. So we're going to prepare a nice question or nice 2 or 3 questions on tax and then present them first thing up next week on our program. All right, I hope our producer has heard me and will remind us about that.
Yes,
but
she
if
will.
you post your questions, because there are different types of tax questions, and like Indiana said, if you post your questions on tax to us, then we'll prepare a nice little program on tax for you, okay? Or start the program, next week's program, looking at all your tax questions, okay? And remember, add your name to those questions as well. And we might just mention your name on live TV, just like we're doing with Lorato at the moment. All right, so Lorato, your question was this. How do you increase 1,250 Rand by 24%? Okay, well, there are a number of ways of actually doing this. But basically what we've got to do is we have got to take 1,250 Rand, okay, and we need to find 24% of that. Right. So, how do you find 24% of something? Remember, Lorato, 24%, the word percent means of 100 or out of 100. So, we know we've got 24 out of 100. Okay? And to that now we are going to add 1,250 Rand. So we've got the 1,250 Rand. We're going to add another 24% of that 1,225 Rand. Does that make sense to you? Okay. Let's do this on our calculator. So with our calculator then, we're going to say, okay, so we've got 1,250 Rand times 14%, times 14%, 14 over 100, equals, and we land up with 175 Rand. So I've got 175 Rand. Now, to that 175 Rand, I'm going to add 1,250. So plus the 1,250, and there we get it, 1,425 Rand. So 1,425 Rand. All right, so I hope that makes sense to you. But in a nutshell, let's go through it again. Firstly, if you've got to add 24% to something, you find out what is 24% of that. You get an answer, and then you add it to the original amount. Okay? So we found 24% of 1,250 Rand. We got 175. We then added 1,250 Rand, because that's what we started with, and we land up with a final amount then of 1,425 Rand. Okay? Now, another question which they could also ask you is, decrease 1,250 Rand by 24%. Wait, what are we going to do then? Well, then it's quite simple, hey? Because then what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, so we've got our 1,250 Rand. Now we're going to subtract 24% of that 1,250 Rand. So we've got our 1,250. We said this was 175 Rand. We then subtract it, and we now land up with our answer. And what is our answer going to be? Well, it's 1,250 Rand minus the 175 Rand. And our answer, 1,075 Rand. Okay. Lorata, I hope that answered your question. Okay. Please let us know if you're happy with that answer or that explanation. And it'll be great to hear from you again. And other viewers out there, remember, if you got a question, even though it's not on the subject we're talking about, post it anyway. And during our ad breaks, what we do is while you go off and have a glass of water, we run quickly and look through. And then Indiana tells me, hey, answer this, answer this, answer this. And like a good man, I just listen to the woman and I do it. All right. So you post your questions and we'll try and do it after the
Your
break.
wife's taught you so well, Peter.
She has.
She's
hey.
taught you so well.
I don't know about taught or slapped me so well. I'm not sure. Okay. Time to move on. No, not at all. She never hits me. All right. Now, next question. Do you have another question before we move on with this? Or are we okay?
Okay, wait. Maybe we perhaps. But what if it is off the ball, off the charts of not what we're talking about?
That's fine. That's
Okay,
fine.
let's have a look. Oh, Lorata wrote back. See, this is what I love about social media and Facebook. Lorata wrote back. She said, "Thanks, Peter. I'm very impressed."
Cool.
Hey, aren't you happy with that? Okay. This one's from Lucia, and she says, "Why did you say that 14 divided by 100, but the percentage is 24?"
Sorry, that was my mouth talking wrong. It should have been 24%. Did I say 14?
Oh, maybe it was your mouth.
It was my mouth. Sorry, my mouth gets me into so much trouble. Okay.
Lucia, so you can say
So,
sorry to Lucia.
Lucia, I'm really sorry about that. So my mouth was thinking one thing, but I was writing another thing because we were talking 24%, but my mind was thinking 14. Sorry about that. Okay, but I did write 24. Cool.
Okay, cool. So now I've got this answer. I don't know if you're going to be able to answer. Okay, Sepo wants to know, how do we calculate the growth of a tree in its 10th year? I know it doesn't really relate to, but maybe you can answer that. You said any question, just putting it out there.
Well, we'd have to have more information on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, what would have actually happened then was it sounds like a compound question, and they would have said a tree grows so much every year. Okay. So how much is it going to grow after its 10th year? But so who was that from?
That's from Sepo.
Seppo, thanks for the question. But if you can give us more detail, all right, so I need the whole question, not just the question part. I need all the information that comes before the question, okay, all the preamble. If you give me that and then give me the question, I might be able to answer that for you. All right, sorry, we need much more information than just that last little bit.
Okay, I've got one question, and this one is from Lindy. And Lindy asks, if there's any time left, can Peter just quickly revise quartiles and percentiles? Perhaps after the end of the show? Perhaps it's something for next week? You tell me.
Okay, we'll have a look at it after the break. I think we've got another break in 10 minutes, and then when we come back, we'll look at percentiles. Or
Okay.
if we can, maybe next week I'll have to do it because we need special charts for that. But I'll have a look and we'll
We're
get
so
back to you.
demanding of you. Hey, Peter, we're
Oh,
so
no,
demanding.
but
We must
that's
make
what's
him
so
work,
great.
guys.
That's what I love
Let's
about the show.
make him
I
work.
I prefer talking to you and answering your questions than just going through stuff, because then I feel I'm really engaging with you folk, which is absolutely great. Okay. Right. Shall we move on?
Let us.
Let's move on. Our next question. Annabelle started working for a construction company on the 3rd of July 2007. She earned a net income of $144,000 per annum without any bonus. Okay. Now, I just want to bring one thing to your attention here, net income. Right. In an examiner should actually explain to you the difference between a gross income and a net income. Okay, they haven't done it in this question, so I'll explain that to you quickly. A gross income is the income that your employee will give you before they've deducted anything. So before they've taken off your pension, before they've taken off your tax, okay, they will just say, here is your salary. And that is a gross salary. So, for example, when I started teaching many years ago, my goodness, do you know I started teaching in 1990? How scary is that? Okay.
Sure.
And as a teacher in 1990, I got a gross salary of about 1,400 Rand. Okay. Now that was my gross salary. But they still had to take tax off that. And once they took the tax off that, I got out, I think it was around about 1,200 Rand a month. Now that is what we call a net income. So your gross salary is the salary that your employees say, yeah, this is what I'm giving you. Your net salary is the salary that you get after you've paid out to that tax man. Got it? Now, Annabelle started working for a construction company on the 3rd of July. She earned a net salary or income of 144,000 per annum. Please take note of that. Per annum means per year. So she wasn't earning 144,000 rand a month. Gee, wouldn't that just be nice, eh? No, she was only earning how much a month? Think about it, because I know it's one of the questions. All right. So, shame, and she doesn't get a bonus. Now, she sets aside 8,400 rand a month for her monthly expenses. And each month, set aside a further 90% of the balance, not of her money, but of the balance, towards a deposit for a new car. There's a lot of words in this question, and it can be quite confusing. So let's just try and put all this in perspective. So every month, Annabelle gets a salary, okay? They pay the tax man and she gets some money. She says, wow, this is my money. Now she starts paying out money. And she starts paying. In fact, they actually tell us what her expenses are. She pays rent and electricity, 2,850. She pays her groceries, 1,500. Her student loan repayment of 900, her public transport to work 700, her clothing 350, and blah blah blah. And all her expenses come to a total of 8,400. So she gets this money, pays out 8,400, and is left with a little bit of money. Now, of that money she's got left, 90% of it she takes and puts it away towards a car. Oh, she so badly wants a car, okay? And so of the money she's got left, a whole 90% is being put aside for that dream car of hers. Now, first question. Calculate Annabelle's net monthly salary. I knew this question was going to come up. Now, remember, she got 144,000 rand a year. We're going to divide it by 12, and she's going to land up with 12,000 rand a month. Right? So that is her net income every single month. Got that? So she's not earning 144,000. She's not a minister of education or public transport or whatever. She's just a normal other person. My mom used to have a lovely saying when I was growing up. Whenever we asked her for something, okay, we said, oh, Ma, please, we want that Lego. Oh, gee, Mom, we'd love that little motor car to play with in the sand. Or, Mom, gee, we'd love a packet of chips. She'd always say, hey, boy, I'm just another fella. I'm not Rockefeller. Okay, which I think is quite cute.
It explains a lot about you. I'd like to meet your mother. I think she must be an amazing lady.
Ja, sy's 'n boerevrou hoor.
Is she?
Talk out of line, say klap vir jou.
She sounds lekker.
Yeah, I got the bruises everywhere. All right, but let's move on. So 12,000 rand is what she actually earns. Okay. In fact, you know, she spoke to us 2 weeks ago on our program. Okay, and we were talking about the number of older folk that watch our program. I met another couple in Cape Town. They recognized me and actually came up to me and said, Hazard, you know that we watch your show. They're absolutely amazing. And these are folk that are in their late 60s. Their names were Ken and Maureen. Okay, all the way from...
Ken and Maureen.
Ken and Maureen.
Well, my granny and grandpa, Ken and Marjorie. Ken and Marjorie.
No, it was definitely Maureen, so I didn't meet your grandparents. Okay. Right, let's move on. Now, Annabelle was advised to invest some of her monthly savings in a special savings account that pays more interest. She thus invested 3,000 rand of her monthly savings each month in this account. This special savings account paid an interest rate of 10.8% per annum, compounded monthly. Use the formula F is equal to X bracket 1 plus I close bracket N minus 1 all over I to calculate the total amount she will have for her deposit if she saves monthly for 11 months, where F is the total amount received, X is the monthly amount invested, I is my monthly interest rate, N is the number of months for which the money was invested. Okay. Now, do you remember who was it that asked us the question, should we write down the formulas? Can you remember?
Do I remember who it was? I can have a look quickly.
Okay. But to the young guy who asked me the question, you've now got a horrific formula behind me. You know what?
Success, Samuel.
Absolutely.
Success, Samuel.
I would strongly advise, in this case, that you definitely write this formula. Look at this thing. Sure. If you've got it above you, it's easier to put figures below it, rather than working from your question paper to your answer paper. Question paper to your answer paper. Okay? Rather, put it all together in a confined little space. So let's have a look at this. Now, where are we? There it is. Okay, so F equals X, big bracket, 1 minus I, all to the n, minus 1, all over I. Now, F is the total amount received. In other words, the total amount that she's going to have saved. X is the amount we're putting away every single month. Okay. Now, guys, this formula, I just want to make something or put it out there. It's so important. You know this formula. A is equal to P, 1 plus I to the power of n. Okay? Guys, what's the difference between those two formulas? And this is vital. This is crucial. This is good stuff. This is like exam end of the year important stuff. Okay. This formula here is if I take an amount of money, let's say, what's her name? Annabelle. Annabelle took 3,000 Rand, put it in the bank, and left it there for 9 months. Then that's the formula we're going to use. Okay. But what Annabelle here is doing is she's not just putting 3,000 Rand away and waiting for the 9 months or the 11 months or whatever it is. Okay. What she's doing is she's putting 3,000 Rand in the bank. Next month, another 3,000. Next month, another 3. So the amount that she's putting away is increasing. This account, my compound formula, is one set amount in the bank for a period of time. This formula over here, which looks like, oh my goodness, such a headache, is when I keep putting more and more and more and more money in a bank. So if you are saving money and putting money aside every month, this is the formula we use to calculate how much we'll have at the end of 5 years or 6 years or whatever it is. This formula we use if we just take one amount of money, put it in the bank, and leave it there. Okay? This is what we're using. So, I'm getting quite excited. I love this stuff. Eh? Right, equals. Now, how much are we putting aside? We're putting 3,000 Rand aside every month. 1 minus my interest. Now, folks, what is my interest? My interest is 10,8%. So it's 10,8 divided by 100, which is actually 0,108. Do you agree? But have a look at this. It's compounded monthly. So we are not compounding it yearly, but every month. So we're going to have to take that amount and divide by 12. So we've got 0,108 divided by 12. Why divided by 12? Because at the end of the month, I'm getting a 12th of my interest rate. Not a full 10,8%, but a 12th of that. If it was compounded yearly, then at the end of the year, I'm going to get the full 10,8. But if I'm compounded monthly, I've got to take that interest rate of 10,8 and divide it by 12. Okay. Now, that minus 1 all over, again, my interest rate, which is 0,108 divided by 12. And then we're going to write equals. Now, I know it's time for a break. I'm going to keep going, though. So let's just do this on our calculator, and then hopefully we'll take the break straight after this. So, in fact, you know what, folk? Let's take the break, because it's going to take a while.
Hey, how he changes his mind. So that's what I'm going to let him do. Let's take a break. Guys, get those questions in on our page. I think we've only got about 20 minutes left anyway, so let's do that. Okay, guys, see you now after the break.